Think about everything you've been taught about human history. The dates, the kings, the first civilizations. Now, I want you to forget them. Because in 2025, the Earth opened up and revealed something that the textbooks weren't ready for. We found a face that's been staring into the dark for 12,000 years, and a sunken port that might finally whisper the name of a lost queen. We aren't just digging up ruins anymore. We are rewriting the timeline of who we are. These are the 10 discoveries that changed history forever. Are you ready to see what they tried to hide? For decades, we believed civilization began with a grain of wheat. We thought we settled down, farmed, and then built temples. But Karahantepe? It just puts that logic on fire. In the rugged hills of Turkey, archaeologists have uncovered something that shouldn't exist. Not at this scale. Not 12,000 years ago. As the dust was brushed away, a pair of eyes emerged from the living rock. A human face. Not a god, not an animal, but us. Looking back at us across 120 centuries, we used to think Göbekli Tepe was the 0 point of history. But Karahantepe is proving to be its older, more complex sibling. This isn't just a place of worship, it's a masterpiece of prehistoric engineering. We're talking about massive stone pillars carved directly into the bedrock, forming chambers that feel clinical, organized. There's a specific room here, a ritual space, with 11 phallic-shaped pillars and a protruding human head. It's a scene of rebirth, a theater of the mind, built by people we once dismissed as simple hunter-gatherers. How did they do it? No metal tools, no wheel, no writing. Yet, the symmetry is perfect. The stone is polished. Some researchers suggest these sites weren't just for prayer. They were astronomical computers or centers of advanced social engineering. The forbidden part? If humans were this organized 12,000 years ago, it means the journey to this level of skill started much, much earlier. We are missing a huge piece of the puzzle, a lost era of human development that was wiped clean by the end of the last ice age. The face of Karahantepe doesn't look like a primitive being. It looks tired. It looks knowing. It reminds us that our ancestors weren't becoming human. They already were. They had art, they had secrets, and they had a vision for the future that included us finding them. Maybe the biggest discovery of 2025 isn't the site itself, but the realization that we have forgotten more about our past than we will ever truly know. For thousands of years, the coastal villages of India have whispered stories of a golden city swallowed by the wrath of the ocean. Most historians dismissed it as a myth, a poetic metaphor from the ancient Vedas. But in 2025, the myth became a physical reality. Off the coast of Gujarat, in the murky depths of the Arabian Sea, marine archaeologists have uncovered a sprawling complex of stone temples, massive defensive walls, and paved streets. This isn't just a shipwreck, it is a prehistoric metropolis. As the sonar images cleared, they revealed a city that matches the descriptions of the legendary Dwarka, the kingdom of the gods. A city that wasn't supposed to exist, now standing silent under the weight of the sea. The scale of these ruins is breathtaking. We are looking at stone blocks weighing over 10 tons, fitted together with advanced interlocking joints that have survived the ocean's currents for millennia. The divers found enormous circular pillars, intricately carved with symbols of the lotus and the sun. But the most shocking discovery was a massive limestone gateway, still standing upright at a depth of 70 feet. The engineering required to build such a structure on land is impressive. But to have it survive the cataclysm that sank this city is a miracle. It suggests a civilization that possessed a deep understanding of structural integrity and maritime logistics, far beyond what we previously attributed to this era. Here's why this discovery is causing a firestorm in the scientific community. The dating. Carbon dating of organic samples found within the stone structures suggests this city was submerged at the end of the last ice age, nearly 9,000 years ago. This completely shatters the traditional timeline of human civilization. According to the history books, we were barely beginning to farm back then. Yet here's a city with organized streets and massive temples. The forbidden implication? It means that a highly advanced maritime culture existed long before the rise of Egypt or Mesopotamia. It suggests that the ancient texts, like the Mahabharata, aren't just stories. They are eyewitness accounts of a lost world that was wiped out by rising sea levels. As we watch the light flicker through the ruins of these sunken temples, we feel a connection to something eternal. These stones were once the center of a world filled with music, prayer, and life. Today, they are a silent warning. They remind us that even the most powerful kingdoms are at the mercy of the earth. Finding this lost city in 2025 isn't just about reclaiming the past. It's about reclaiming our identity. We are the descendants of survivors who watched their world sink and chose to start again. The sunken temples of India are more than just ruins. They are the blueprints of human resilience. And as the tide continues to turn, we must ask ourselves, what other legends are waiting to be proven true? For over a century, the Valley of the Kings has kept its secrets locked tight. Since Howard Carter stumbled upon the golden glint of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, the world has waited for another royal breakthrough. Many experts claimed the valley was empty, that every stone had been turned. They were wrong. In early 2025, near a secluded waterfall area in Luxor, a hidden shaft was discovered under layers of ancient flood debris. It wasn't just another nobleman's resting place. As the team breached the limestone seal, they realized they had found the impossible: an intact, untouched entrance to the royal tomb of Pharaoh Thutmose II, the husband of Hatshepsut, the father of the great Thutmose III, a king whose life was long shrouded in mystery, has finally stepped out of the shadows and back into the light of the 21st century. Walking into this tomb is like stepping into a time capsule that breathes. Unlike the cramped quarters of lesser royals, the tomb of Thutmose II follows the classic bent-axis design of the early 18th dynasty. But there's a twist. Because of its unique location beneath a seasonal waterfall, the walls are covered in a rare mineral patina that makes the hieroglyphs glow when hit by light. The corridors are lined with scenes from the Amduat, the Book of the Hidden Chamber. It describes the sun god's 12-hour journey through the underworld. Every inch of the wall is a map for the soul. The craftsmanship is breathtaking. The blue pigments are as vibrant as the day they were mixed 3,500 years ago. It's a silent, subterranean cathedral built to defy the end of time. But why was this tomb hidden so well? And why here? Historians have long debated the reign of Thutmose II. Some say he was a weak ruler, overshadowed by his powerful wife, Hatshepsut. But the artifacts found within these chambers tell a different story. They found ceremonial weapons, chariots, and inscriptions that suggest a king who was much more active in military campaigns than we ever imagined. The forbidden element here is how this discovery forces us to rewrite the history of the 18th dynasty. Was he intentionally erased from certain records? Was his tomb placed in this remote, dangerous location to protect it from political rivals, or from something else? The presence of Amduat texts in such a complete form suggests he was a king deeply obsessed with the mechanics of the afterlife, perhaps even more than his successors. As we reach the burial chamber, the atmosphere changes. The air is heavy with the scent of ancient cedar and dried resins. While the mummy of Thutmose II was found years ago in a royal cache, this tomb was his original intended home for eternity. Finding it reminds us that archaeology is never finished. There's always another door, another secret, another king waiting to be found. Thutmose II is no longer just a name on a broken stele. He is a presence, a man who commanded an empire and feared the gods. This discovery is a triumph for 2025, proving that the golden age of Egyptology isn't in the past. It is happening right now. And as we leave the valley, we have to ask, if we found him today, who else is still sleeping beneath the sands, waiting for their turn to speak? For 2,000 years, the Mediterranean Sea has guarded the final chapter of Egypt's last pharaoh. While treasure hunters searched the desert, the truth was slowly being buried by salt and silt. In 2025, just off the coast near Taposiris Magna, marine archaeologists using advanced sub-bottom profilers detected a massive anomaly. This wasn't just a shipwreck. It was an entire harbor system. a complex network of stone piers, breakwaters, and ritual platforms that vanished during the great earthquakes of the 4th century. But this isn't just any port. This is the very gateway that likely served the temple complex, where many believe Cleopatra's Seth and Mark Antony found their eternal rest. As the divers cleared the seagrass, they realized they had found the threshold to a legend. Down here, time moves differently. The team discovered massive granite columns still standing upright against the current, like ghost sentinels. They found bronze coins bearing the face of a woman with a sharp profile and a royal diadem, Cleopatra herself. But the most stunning find was a series of enormous stone anchors, some weighing over half a ton, used by the heavy merchant ships that once brought wine, silk, and gold to this sacred site. The engineering is staggering. These piers were designed to withstand the Mediterranean's fury, built with a special Roman-style hydraulic concrete that actually got stronger underwater. It tells us that this wasn't just a minor dock. It was a grand entrance for a queen who knew how to command both land and sea. Here's the part that gives historians chills. The port isn't isolated. It connects to a massive 4,000-foot tunnel that leads directly toward the Temple of Isis. This tunnel, discovered recently on land, was half submerged, and this new port discovery is the missing piece of the puzzle. It suggests a secret logistics route. If Cleopatra wanted to vanish, to ensure her body was never paraded through the streets of Rome by Octavian, this port was her back door. It was her escape route to the afterlife. The forbidden theory here is that her tomb isn't lost. It was strategically hidden in a place that could only be accessed through these sunken gates. We aren't just looking at ruins. We are looking at a 2,000-year-old disappearing act, designed by the most brilliant woman of her age. As the sun sets over the modern coastline, the silent city beneath the waves remains a testament to a fallen empire. Finding this port in 2025 has shifted the search for Cleopatra from where to how. It reminds us that history isn't just what we leave behind, it's how we choose to be remembered. The sea took her city, but it couldn't erase her presence. Every stone anchor and every sunken column brings us one step closer to that final golden chamber. The hunt for the Queen of Kings is no longer a dream, it's a countdown. And as we emerge from the depths, we realize that some secrets are meant to stay submerged until the world is finally ready to hear them. From the depths of the ocean, we now rise, higher than the eagles, into the breathing heart of the Peruvian Andes. Imagine a place where the trees are so thick and the mist so heavy that for 500 years an entire city simply vanished. In 2025, using LiDAR technology, lasers that can see through the canopy, scientists peeled back the green veil of the cloud forest. What they found wasn't just a few ruins, it was a sprawling urban center belonging to the Chachapoya, the legendary warriors of the clouds. Perched on a cliffside that seems to defy gravity, this lost city at Gran Pahatén is proving that our maps of South America have been missing a massive piece of the puzzle for centuries. The Chachapoya didn't just live in the mountains, they conquered them. This newly mapped sector contains over 100 circular stone structures, each decorated with intricate zigzag patterns and human-like figures. These weren't primitive huts, they were sophisticated homes with advanced drainage systems to handle the constant tropical rains. But the real mystery is the location. Why build here, where the air is thin and the slopes are nearly vertical? The answer lies in their identity. These people were masters of isolation, creating a fortress in the sky that was invisible to the Inca Empire for generations. As we explore these stone circles, we see a level of masonry that rivals the best of the old world, built without the help of modern tools or animals of burden. The forbidden question that 2025 has forced us to ask is, how did a civilization this large survive in a place so hostile? Modern science has struggled to understand their agriculture, but the new discoveries reveal hidden terrace systems that utilize the mountain's microclimates. These warriors of the clouds weren't just fighters, they were botanical geniuses. They managed to feed thousands in a place where today, most people can barely hike. There is a growing theory that the Chachapoya held a secret understanding of the forest. a harmony with nature that we have completely lost. Some researchers even suggest they had trade networks that stretched all the way to the Amazon basin, moving goods through secret mountain passes that we are only now beginning to rediscover. As the sun finally breaks through the mist, illuminating the stone faces carved into the walls, you realize the Chachapoya never truly disappeared. They are in the stones, the soil, and the very air of the Andes. Finding the city in 2025 is a humbling reminder that nature doesn't destroy our history, it simply protects it until we are ready to look closer. We often think of our ancestors as simple, but standing here, looking at a city built into the sky, you feel their immense ambition. They didn't just survive, they thrived in the clouds. And as we leave this emerald fortress, we carry with us a new truth. The most incredible stories of our past aren't found in books. They are waiting in the places where no one thought to look. While the world was looking at the famous ruins of the Maya and the Aztecs on land, a team of deep-sea explorers in 2025 stumbled upon something that shouldn't be there. Off the rugged coast of Central America, submerged under 30 feet of turquoise water and layers of coral, lies a massive stone complex. At first, they thought it was a natural rock formation, until they saw the right angles, until they saw the mooring stones. This is a prehistoric sunken port, a heavy-duty maritime hub that predates many of the known inland cities. The discovery of these giant, hand-carved stone blocks at the bottom of the sea is sending shockwaves through the archaeological community, because it suggests that the ancient people of this region weren't just forest dwellers. They were masters of the open ocean. The scale of this port is staggering. We are looking at a breakwater system extending for nearly half a mile, designed to protect ships from the fierce Caribbean storms. The stones used here weigh several tons each, and they were fitted together with a precision that reminds us of the megalithic sites in Peru or Egypt. But how? How did a culture that supposedly didn't use the wheel or iron tools transport these monoliths to the shoreline and then submerge them so perfectly? Even more mysterious are the anchors. Archaeologists found dozens of stone anchors of a design never seen before in the Americas. They are heavy, aerodynamic, and suggest large-scale vessels capable of carrying massive amounts of cargo across the horizon. This wasn't a place for small canoes. This was a gateway for a lost fleet of unknown sailors. This is where the forbidden history comes in. If this port existed, where were these ships going? Traditional history tells us that ancient American cultures were largely isolated from one another. But a port of this magnitude implies a massive trade network, perhaps stretching as far as the Mississippi River, or even the deep South American coast. Some out-of-the-box researchers are even asking if this port was a link to a much older global maritime civilization that was erased by rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age. We found pottery shards trapped in the sediment that don't match any known local style. They are thinner, stronger, and decorated with celestial patterns. It's as if these unknown sailors were navigating by the stars to destinations we haven't even dreamed of yet. As we look at these ruins today, we have to wonder, why did they disappear? Was it a sudden cataclysm, or did the ocean simply reclaim what was always its own? The discovery of 2025 doesn't just give us a new location on a map. It gives us a new perspective on human ambition. We have long underestimated the courage of those who came before us. They didn't fear the horizon, they built a bridge to it. The sunken port of Central America is a silent reminder that our ancestors were much more connected, much more mobile, and much more daring than we ever gave them credit for. The sea may have buried their names, but their work remains, waiting for us to finally understand the language of the waves. Sometimes, history doesn't wait for a shovel. It waits for a storm. In 2025, after a series of brutal winter gales battered the coast of Lunnon Bay in Scotland, the ocean did something extraordinary. It stripped away meters of sand to reveal a fragile layer of ancient clay. And there, perfectly preserved as if they were made yesterday, were footprints. Human footprints impressed into the earth 2,000 years ago. This isn't a monument made of stone. It's a snapshot of a single afternoon in the Iron Age. For a few brief days, the modern world was allowed to look at the literal path of people who lived while the Roman Empire was still expanding its reach into the north. What makes this find so haunting is the detail. These aren't just prints, they are stories. We see the heavy stride of adults, likely carrying loads, and the smaller, lighter steps of children running alongside them. There are even animal prints, deer and cattle, weaving through the human path. It paints a picture of a busy, living shoreline. They were likely gathering shellfish or moving between coastal settlements. You can almost see the mud squelching between their toes. In archaeology, we usually find what people left behind: their trash, their tools, their graves. But here, we find the people themselves. We find their movement. For 2,000 years, this clay was sealed by the sand, protecting a mundane moment of daily life from the ravages of time. But there is a forbidden urgency to this discovery. Unlike a stone temple, these footprints are incredibly fragile. As soon as the air hits them, and as soon as the next tide comes in, they begin to erode. The discovery of 2025 was a race against the clock. Archaeologists had only hours to use 3D laser scanning and photogrammetry to record every arch and every toe before the North Sea reclaimed them forever. It forces us to ask, how much of our history is lost simply because we weren't there to see the sand shift? We treat history as something permanent, but Lunan Bay teaches us that the most personal parts of our past are often the most fleeting. We are lucky to have seen them at all. As the tide finally returns and the waves smooth over the clay, the footprints vanish once more. But they aren't gone. They are part of us now. They remind us that history isn't just about big events. It's about the simple act of walking together. Those children 2,000 years ago played on the same beach where families walk today. The gap of 2 millennia disappears when you see a footprint that matches your own size. Scotland's ghost prints are a powerful reminder that we are all just travelers on this earth, leaving our own marks until the tide comes for us too. In 2025, we didn't just find an artifact. We found a connection to our own humanity, written in the mud and saved by the sea. Saqqara. For thousands of years, this plateau has served as the final resting place for Memphis, the ancient capital of Egypt. We thought we knew this place. We thought the sands had given up everything they were hiding. But in 2025, the desert proved us wrong. A massive, previously unknown sector of the royal cemetery was unearthed, revealing a silent metropolis of the dead. This isn't just a collection of graves. It is a meticulously planned district of grand mastabas and deep burial shafts that date back to a transitional period we once thought was a time of chaos. As the first light of 2025 hit the newly uncovered limestone walls, archaeologists realized they were standing in the middle of a power struggle that took place 4,000 years ago. What the team found inside was staggering. Over 50 high-ranking officials and royal family members laid to rest in beautifully decorated wooden and stone sarcophagi. Many of them were still sealed, their ancient air trapped inside for millennia. The colors on the wood, vibrant yellows, deep blues, and royal reds, look as if the painters just stepped away for a break. But it's the sheer density that is shocking. They are stacked like books in a library, each one containing a life, a title, and a set of spells to navigate the afterlife. These weren't just the elite. They were the architects, the generals, and the high priests who held the fabric of Egypt together during a mysterious, lost dynasty that history almost forgot to record. The forbidden discovery here lies in the inscriptions. Some of the names found in this cemetery don't appear on the official king lists. It suggests that during the first intermediate period, there were rulers and powerful families who claimed divine right, but were later erased by their successors. This cemetery is a rebel archive. It tells a story of a time when Egypt was fractured, and local kings at Saqqara were building their own versions of eternity. We found ritual objects, statues of Sokar Osiris and delicate papyrus scrolls that use a style of hieroglyphs never seen before. It's a linguistic shift that hints at a cultural revolution we never knew happened. We are looking at a history that was meant to stay buried, a lineage that someone long ago tried very hard to delete. As the sun sets over the step pyramid, casting long, dark shadows across the excavation site, you can almost hear the whispers of Saqqara. This discovery in 2025 reminds us that even in death, the ancient Egyptians were making a statement. This royal cemetery wasn't just about the past. It was a bid for immortality. They built these cities of stone so that one day, thousands of years later, someone would find them and speak their names again. And today, we are doing exactly that. Saqqara is no longer a graveyard. It is a library of human ambition. Every sarcophagus we open is a page turned, and as we continue to dig, we realize that the most powerful stories aren't the ones we remember, but the ones that refuse to be forgotten. Karnak, the largest religious complex ever built by human hands. For 2,000 years, it was the beating heart of the Egyptian Empire. We thought every inch of this sacred ground had been surveyed, but in 2025, during a restoration project near the Temple of Ptah, a small, unassuming limestone slab was lifted. Beneath it lay a pottery vessel that hadn't seen the sun in 34 centuries. Inside, a breathtaking collection of jewelry and amulets hidden away by a high priest during a time of great political upheaval. This wasn't just gold, this was a divine insurance policy. A hoard of sacred objects crafted with such precision that they challenge our understanding of ancient metallurgy and lapidary arts. As the artifacts were cleaned, the true scale of the artistry emerged. We found the Golden Triad, miniature, solid gold figures of Amun, Mut, and Khonsu, no larger than a human thumb, yet carved with perfect facial expressions. Beside them lay amulets made of lapis lazuli, carnelian, and turquoise. There were Ujjat eyes, the Eye of Horus, designed to provide protection in this world and the next. But look closer at the craftsmanship. The gold is fused with a technique that looks almost modern. The stones are cut into perfect geometric shapes, some so small they would require a magnifying glass to see. This wasn't mass-produced. Every piece was a singular prayer, a masterpiece of devotion created by craftsmen who believed they were working with the sweat of the gods. The forbidden element of this find isn't the gold, it's the purpose. These amulets weren't meant to be worn as jewelry by the living. They are votive deposits, placed strategically within the temple's foundations to act as a spiritual battery. In 2025, researchers discovered that the placement of these objects corresponds exactly to certain star alignments from the period. It suggests that the jewelry was part of a much larger, lost machine of ritual magic. They believed these objects could anchor the power of the gods to the physical world. Some of the amulets found represent forbidden or forgotten deities from the early dynastic periods, gods that the later pharaohs tried to write out of existence. Finding them here, in the heart of Karnak, shows that the old magic never truly left. As these treasures prepare to go on display in the Grand Egyptian Museum, they tell us a story that gold can never tarnish. They remind us that for the ancient Egyptians, beauty was a form of truth. These amulets were designed to last forever, and in a way, they have succeeded. They have survived wars, earthquakes, and the rise and fall of empires, only to reappear in 2025 to remind us of our own desire for protection and meaning. When you look at the glow of the Karnak gold, you aren't just looking at wealth, you are looking at a human heart reaching out for the eternal. The priests who hid them are long gone, but their faith still shines as brightly as the day it was buried. This is the true treasure of the Nile, the enduring light of human spirit. London, a global hub of glass, steel, and high finance. But in 2025, during a routine infrastructure project near Gracechurch Street, the modern world hit a wall, a Roman wall. Deep beneath the foundations of an office block, archaeologists uncovered the remains of the great Roman Basilica. This wasn't just a building, it was the largest Roman structure north of the Alps. For 2,000 years, the heart of Londinium was hidden beneath the feet of millions of commuters, waiting for the right moment to remind us that before London was a British capital, it was a vital outpost of the Roman Empire. The scale of this basilica is hard to wrap your head around. It was larger than St. Paul's Cathedral. This was the city's administrative brain, housing law courts, the treasury, and the Senate. In 2025, excavators found perfectly preserved tesserae, the tiny tiles of Roman mosaics, forming patterns that haven't been seen in 20 centuries. We found the base of massive columns that once supported a roof 60 feet high. It tells us that Londinium wasn't a muddy outpost. It was a grand, sophisticated Roman city that mirrored the glory of Rome itself. The engineering required to build this on the marshy banks of the Thames is a testament to the sheer will of the Roman legions. The forbidden history here is why this massive heart of the city stopped beating. The 2025 excavations revealed evidence of a deliberate, systematic dismantling. This wasn't destroyed by fire or war. It was taken apart, stone by stone. Why? Some historians believe it was a political statement, a rebellion against Roman authority where the people literally erased the seat of power. Others suggest a lost economic collapse that forced the city to recycle its own monuments. We found graffiti on the lower walls, written in a vulgar Latin that mocks the Roman governors. These aren't just ruins. They are the scars of a city in crisis, a story of resistance that the official Roman records never dared to mention. As the modern skyscrapers continue to rise around it, the Basilica of London stands as a reminder that every empire believes it will last forever, and every empire eventually becomes the foundation for the next. The discovery of 2025 has given London its soul back. It connects the bankers of today with the merchants of 2,000 years ago. History isn't something that happens somewhere else. It's under our floorboards, under our streets, and in our DNA. We are just the latest occupants of a city that has been thriving, falling, and rebuilding for 2 millennia. And as we close the book on the top discoveries of 2025, we realize that the greatest mystery of all is how much more is still waiting to be found. After journeying through these 10 incredible sites, one truth becomes clear. The past isn't dead. It's not even past. It's right under our feet, waiting for a storm, a laser, or a curious mind to wake it up. 2025 has shown us that our ancestors were more like us than we ever dared to imagine. They dreamed, they built, and they survived. Now the question isn't just what they left behind. It's what we will discover next. Because the greatest story ever told? It's still being written,